All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the Practice Match Contract Negotiation webinar with Peyton Page. I'm going to take the next few minutes to introduce myself and tell you a little bit about Practice Match before we start. My name is Rainey McNeely. I'm the Physician Engagement Specialist here at Practice Match. I've been here for a year now. If you've ever attended any of our in-person career fairs or you submit your CV for review, that all comes from me. Practice Match offers a host of free career resources for training fellows and residents, including CV review, webinars like this. We've got virtual and in-person career fairs, um, job board, and more. It looks like we've got a lot of attendees so far. I just want to remind everyone that tonight we are recording this webinar, so I'll be able to send everyone a recording link by the end of the week. And your microphones and cameras are muted for this meeting. All right, Peyton, if you're ready, you can go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Rainey, for organizing this and setting it up for everyone. We're going to go over contract negotiation. So we will go ahead and dive right into that. And let me click the screen. Okay. So the top a couple things that you can do before you negotiate a contract would be you would want to define your ideal practice, whether that be a academic facility, primary care facility, any areas, any geo preferences, anything like that. You want to define everything that you want about this practice, basically. I know that kind of seems far off, but you really want to have that list of things that you want. And then later on, you can go in and negotiate the list or really just kind of weigh your pros and cons on it. So you'll want to define your ideal practice. You will want to know the appropriate times to ask questions. So if you're interviewing, you obviously don't want to interrupt someone else just to ask a question that is completely off topic or anything like that. You want to know the appropriate time to ask questions and when to do so. So if you're talking about a topic and you have a question on that topic, go ahead and ask that question then versus waiting till later when you might not be on that topic anymore. You'll want to understand the market data and manage your expectations. So, like I said, kind of get that pro and con list going and base your offers on the market that is currently, because we all know that changes quite literally every day. So you'll want to base it off of what is currently going on for that market. And then how do you think that you would define your ideal practice? So I kind of already said this in the past slide, but you'll want to obviously start early on this. Talk to other physicians that you trust, maybe ones that are in your residency or fellowship programs, or ones that you're currently working with, and see kind of where they are, get a feel for, again, the market, talk to employers, your employers. I know that kind of sound like nobody wants to tell their current employer that they're looking for somewhere else, but again, you want to make that trust and you can talk to them. You can talk to them at conferences, career fairs, anything like that. Which leads me into attending career fairs. You can attend any type of career fair. I know Practice Match has virtual and in-person ones that you can attend to see if that's something you like. I know a lot of local hospitals will also have career fairs for you to come in and see if it's something that might be of interest to you. And ask questions. Never be afraid to ask questions. I was told that my entire life, and I feel like asking questions is how you gain your knowledge pretty well. You want to ask those questions, even the hard ones, to make sure that you are getting the information that you not only want, but the information that you need as well. Networking early allows you to learn. You learn as you go, and if you start that early, you'll learn everything that you can, and then withhold that information to maybe it's not something that is in your ideal practice, and you can look for another practice that might be your ideal practice. So always try to network early, make those connections, even if it's in your head, even if you're like, I am never going to work at a place like that or in a location like that, still make those connections because you might never know what they have open. And also, you might never know what connections you can make through that person. That person might say, well, I have a contact in this city and in this location that you might be interested in, and they can connect you. So always network. And then some tips that we kind of listed here is just create a job search email when you're in training. I know a lot of physicians use their like program email, but I always recommend using a personal email like a Gmail, Yahoo, anything like that. So that way you have that email, and when you transfer over to fellowship or even working, you don't lose that email of all the information that you've already gained. And then also it helps you keep everything in one place. So if you're getting those job search emails, it's easy to go through there and sort that email out versus your school email that might be a little bit more important for things for school. So always create a personal email and use that for all your job searches. And then signing early does increase your chance of getting a stipend. That is 99% of the time the case. If you sign places early, they will give you that stipend just so they have you. But always, again, start early, start looking early. So that way, not only can you kind of build that ideal practice that you want, but also have a chance of getting that stipend as well. Okay. Kind of touched this on in the last slide, but your ideal geolocation, what benefits are important to you, what kind of employment do you want, the type of institution that you want to work in, such as an academic facility, what kind of cases do you want to see, what kind of equipment do you need to do your procedures, your cases, what type of work and call schedule do you need? That's pretty important question that we get a lot is when you're going through these CV reviews and everything, they always want to talk about your work and call schedules. So that is a very important one to kind of have in the back of your mind when you're looking for these places. And then something that a lot of people I feel like don't really look into is what kind of things that in the community do you need for you and your family, such as if you like to be near the water because you like water athletics, if you want to be near a park because you need those things, stuff like that. Even honestly, even types of stores in the area. It's kind of crazy, but those questions do come around. And I do think it is important, especially when you're negotiating these contracts, if those things that you need, not only in your practice, but in your community nearby as well, to, have a safe living area and a safe home outside of work as well. And then what are your deal breakers? That's another big one. Almost everybody has a deal breaker. A lot of people are open, but it is very common to have deal breakers. So have those kind of, again, on your pros and cons list and list those out because it might be something that they can work through. You never know. And then how do you prioritize this list? So kind of everything that I just listed out, what is the most important to you versus the least important? And again, just having that wrote down helps tremendously. And I know it's crazy, but 50% of physicians do leave their job within the first 5 years. So it is very common to, have these questions. Recruiters are seeing these questions every day. So it is important that you have everything that you want prioritized. Another big thing is understanding the market data. You can look all over for the market data on the web, the surveys, the crowdsourced data, and other offers that you have. PracticeMatch particularly has a compensation survey, and then we also partner with Resolve, which I have a slide touching on that towards the end of this PowerPoint. But those are just two big things that we use. You can literally find this pretty well anywhere. But again, the biggest would probably be just looking up that survey data and then obviously word of mouth as well. Okay, and understanding compensation models. So you want to understand that that salary, the salary plus the productivity. You're going to want to kind of weigh those together, like what you're getting paid versus what you're going to be doing, and etc. Your salary plus the outcomes. Is this fulfilling you? Is it fulfilling your needs? And are you feeling satisfied at the end of the day? And then also just your productivity. So those are just a couple things just to understand those models when you're looking up all the salary things and the data online. Here's a quick little diagram of the compensation models that you guys can look at for a second. And I don't think I said this in the beginning, or Rainey, you might have. This will be recorded and posted to our website, so you can go back after this presentation and view this at any time that you need, but also feel free to take any kind of pictures or screenshots on the device you're using if you need any of this information as well. Okay, and this is something that PracticeMatch put together for the physicians in training, but I feel like it's can be applied for anyone. The job search timeline. You can create that PracticeMatch profile, which I'm going to assume if you're in this webinar, you have one. But you'll want to create that, and I always tell physicians, be specific as possible, because if you're open to certain locations, put the city, put the state, put the type of facility you want to work in. That way, it kind of minimizes the unwanted emails that you're getting. So if you're getting all kinds of emails from all over the place, we all do, it's normal. Try to be as specific as possible, so that way you're minimizing those and you're really only getting the important emails that you want to receive with the offers that you want, the areas you want, and all that. So then you want to begin your career search. Excuse me. Kind of good timeline for that would be 18 to 24 months prior to completing your training, whether that be residency or fellowship. Now, say you're in residency and you're going to be finishing, and you don't really plan on doing a fellowship. You can go ahead and start that 18 to 24 months prior. But then what if you're scared to commit to that search and you do decide to go on to a fellowship, or you're in fellowship and you want to do a continuing fellowship? That's completely normal, because all you're really doing is you're kind of just searching, even if you're not really 100% sure you want that right now. You're still searching, you're still getting, more information on those jobs, because knowledge is power. So you always want to look, see, and compare. You want to prepare to apply for jobs within 12 to 18 months prior to completing your residency or fellowship training. So again, you can still apply, and if for whatever reason you decide to go on to a fellowship or training, that's completely okay. Don't let that scare you of you being unknown if you want to continue your training and you might not want to apply. Don't let that scare you at all. You'll want to accept an offer between 3 to 6 months to completing your training. And then your interview time would be 9 to 15 months prior to completing your training. We say that because if for whatever reason, again, you have your contract and things aren't going well with negotiation, you have that time to do other interviews, and you have that time to find other opportunities that might be better for you. So always try to do that ahead of time. Apply for those opportunities and then negotiate a contract. Like I just said, you want that time in case things aren't going well, to maybe you're not getting what you need in that with the contract, you have that time to apply to something else. And then finalize prior to starting your job within 3 to 9 months. Now, this timeline is it's not all over the place, but there is like the 3 to 6 months prior and the 3 to 9 months prior. That's just based on what you think and what your completion dates are, basically. So another thing would be the visa information. If you are on any type of visa, you want to make sure that you have all of that submitted or completed, so that way that they know employer of yours knows, and if any paperwork or anything needs done, they can go ahead and do that ahead of time. That way, when it comes time to work, and something in the paperwork went wrong or something needs reapplied to, they have the time to do that as well. Okay. When to ask about salary, when to negotiate, it's just kind of another thing based on that timeline. You apply, you have the phone interview, then the virtual interview. Most of the time you'll have a site visit. I think 99% of recruiters will allow you to have that site visit, take you around the neighborhood, take you around the city that you'll be in, and the site that you'll be at, just so you know where you'll potentially be working and where you will potentially be living at. And then your offer, your LOI, negotiate those numbers, accept the offer and contract issued. Then you do the negotiation. Try to do that towards the very end. You can always let them know kind of what you're wanting in between the interviews and the visit. However, you do want the actual contract negotiation after the contract is issued, so that way it is written down, and then obviously sign your contract if it comes to your needs. Okay, your LOI. So you'll want that to kind of go off your job offer. It'll need to be shorter, honestly. Your CVs are long. There's always a lot of information. You'll want this LOI shorter, and very easy to understand. Not binding, beginning of negotiation in good faith. Your start date and length of contract. It will need to include your income expected and expenses covered, benefits, your agreements, bonus structures, duties, and responsibilities. So when you get that, you'll want to make sure that that is everything, and that is everything you need. Sorry. I'm losing my voice. I'm apologizing now. So yeah, you'll just want to make sure that all this information is included in that LOI once you receive that. Okay, your contract for the job. That will need to be scheduled, called, locations, the scope of practice, what type, moonlighting, consulting, blogging. You want to make sure if that's allowed in that job, and then if you need consent, and then who owns that content that you have. That is something that a lot of people do not really. I've seen it time and time again. That is something that people don't really think about, who owns that. And that is something that you need to ask, and make sure that that is on the back of your mind as well. Staffing. What is the plan if someone leaves? Will you be left to pick up all those pieces if someone leaves? How they leave? Will the hospital employ locums, or will you be expected to pick up the burden on that? That is another thing that people don't really think about, and that you really need to make sure to keep in the back of your mind as well. Equipment, software, support staff, especially if it's a new service line or anything like that. You'll want to make sure, I know we kind of touched on that in another slide, but you'll want to make sure that all that is everything that you need in the contract for your job. Get a drink real quick, sorry. Okay. And then your compensation model and bonus structure. So for your benefits and your compensation, you want to make sure that'll have your bonuses, your residency and fellowship stipend, sign-on bonus, any type of bonus that would be on there. Student loan repayment is a big one that I know I see a lot of people asking about, and it is super important. Make sure that's included. And benefits. They might be outlined in a completely separate document that you might get later on. Make sure that you review those benefits. Any type of paid time off, insurance, any type of long and short-term disability, parental leave, all that. So please make sure you review those and the times that, come with those. Okay, termination on the contract. So when you're reviewing this contract, you'll want to make sure to review the page that has termination on it. termination as a whole, termination without cause, the procedure that you would have to follow for that, and how much notice needs to be given, termination with a cause, if it has to be defined, cost associated with termination, is there total coverage? Honestly, who is paying for that? With occurrence-based, tail is included most times, so you just want to make sure who's covering that. And bonuses. That is something, again, that not a lot of people think about. Do you have to pay those back if you leave? I know some might, if you have a stipend, they might make you pay that back if you leave within a certain amount of time. That's something that you'll really need to look for in that and ask that question if it's not on there. And then major causes. What happens if there's a pandemic? I was working obviously through the COVID pandemic. I'm sure a lot of you were. So that is something that, needs to be thought about as well if there's another pandemic, and you really know what's going to happen if that happens. So, or if there's a, plan in place for if that was to happen again. Okay, non-competes. They're very standard for some non-compete language to be included in those contracts. It's very common. Are state specific. Some states have them, ban them from all industries. Some states have them banned for physicians. So that is something that you'll need to look at as well. And you need to be reasonable in the time within the 2 years. Restricted area isn't normal based on the size of your coverage area. And then is mileage non-compete from one location or all locations in your health system. Okay. And then what if you have a full-time position at an inpatient facility? Will the non-compete prevent you from doing the work at an outpatient facility? So you'll want to make sure that. And are there any exclusions? That is something that I have had the question a couple times, not many, but if there's a larger merger that you don't want to participate in, what if they let you go without cause? So just things to, kind of think about and again, have in the back of your mind if it isn't outlined. Okay, three easy things to negotiate your contract. Obviously, negotiate in good faith. Don't be afraid to ask anything. Like I said, knowledge is power. You need to ask the questions if you have them. Don't be afraid to ask any change that you might want. And then minimize the back and forth. So once the back and forth goes, it kind of just drags it out a little bit. You want to make that list, have that list visible to you and then available in case you need it, and then go off the contract and minimize back and forth. Just negotiate what you have. And like I said, minimize the back and forth and have it in kind of order with your pros and cons. So another question I have only heard a couple times is, should I get a lawyer? I feel like you only really need a lawyer with your LOI. Maybe if you don't understand your fair market value, if you don't understand the compensation models or any of the benefits and bonuses that you should expect based on the market, a lawyer would be able to help you work through that a lot easier. It's really just kind of up to you in that aspect. If you really don't have a lot of understanding of what is going on in your contract, I would absolutely hire a lawyer for that. But again, it's just based on your knowledge and how you're feeling on it. And then when you receive a contract, your lawyer would probably need to see the earliest version of the contract before you respond with your negotiations. It's just kind of a good process that works the best, and that way it will maximize your negotiating power so they can see the very raw and earliest version of that contract. Just kind of to help the process honestly go smoother. But again, completely up to you. And if you have great understanding and you like your contract and everything, I would absolutely not hire one. But again, only if you absolutely need to. And then advice from a lawyer. Choose one that specializes in contract negotiation. That's important. It is best to find one that also offers a flat rate fee rather than an hourly fee because those hours can rack the price up. So a flat rate fee is always best. And then you can look at your state medical website, and it will have all that information on there as well. Reach out within your network. Um, I said I'd touch on this later. There is actually another site on this, but Resolve does serve all specialties. So we also get a discount, physicians from PracticeMatch, with that code there. So we do partner with Resolve. Resolve does attend conferences and career fairs. So if you're ever in person at anything and see them, they will gladly give you more information on that. I would highly recommend them if you're needing the advice on that contract negotiation and if you're not 100% sure on anything. They're wonderful. We've worked with them for a while. I think I'll go to this next slide, and I think, yes, it has the partnership was Resolve. I just kind of took a clip of this from our website. All this information is on there, but I wanted to have it visible to you guys during this webinar. But we partner with Resolve. They, like I said, they are wonderful. They give you exclusive benefits through PracticeMatch members to gain that access to attorneys, I'm sorry, and real-time salary data and more. So they have literally so much information. There's a side on my right side. I think it would be your right side of the screen as well. But free tools that PracticeMatch members can access through Resolve with that code PMWeb10. But they give you so much information. Resolve also does host webinars like I'm doing today with this information as well. And Kyle Clausen does Resolve. He is wonderful. He will work with you guys through anything that you might need. But again, you can just go to the website and Google that if you need it, and it'll pull up the link. But Resolve offers all those free tools that let you look at, salary and signing bonuses. He does contract negotiation. I think he shows them from real contracts to prepare you for your contract. And then they just help you on the way along the whole process of negotiating your contract. So it is a really nice tool to have. But yes, if you guys need to review this anymore, I'll wait a second. Okay. And these are some resources that PracticeMatch has to offer. I always include this in our webinars because we do get a lot of questions emailed after. So I just want to make sure it's visible to you guys. And Rainey will be sending you a link to this, so you'll have it if you need it to look back on. But PracticeMatch offers all these resources to help physicians, residents, fellows, and med students throughout training and to prepare for their life after training. And we do the CV reviews, scholarships. We have a nationwide job board and career resource center. You can search that by specialty, type of practice you want to work in. It's all in there. You can filter it to exactly your every want and need almost. So you can go and play around on that and see what's available currently on that. We have a physician career guidebook. We have an immigration handbook. We partner with Elisa from Siskin and Susser. They are wonderful as well. They help a lot with immigration. We do the career fairs, physician ambassador program, the webinars like you're including or like you're viewing today, and then we have a mobile app as well, so you can access all these resources and our job board on that mobile app wherever you are. So, and if you have any questions, I've included my information and Rainey's information below. You guys feel free to email us at any time. I'm sure you guys have already been in contact with Rainey and myself, whether it be for career fairs or the ambassador program, but feel free to reach out to us anytime you have any type of questions, whether it be anything about this webinar today or even other topics, and we will be happy to help you. Rainey, I can't see anything on my end, but thank you for hosting this and allowing us to talk about this topic today.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Peyton. Like Peyton and I both said, I'll send the recording link by the end of the week. And if anybody has any questions, just feel free to reach out to us. Thanks so much for your time today, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.